Hello, my name is Melinda Layton. I'm Spiff Practice Lead here at GoCaria, and today I'm going to talk to you about some easy ways to make simple summary components to customize your plans for all your workers, whether or not they apply to each individual user. The first rule I'm going to look at today is a birthday list. Now, all of your employees probably have birthdays, but they may not occur every month of the year. In this role, I'm going to show you how to create a birthday list so a manager can quickly see when all of their users' birthdays are, and an easy way to pay a birthday bonus that applies only in the month that each user has a birthday. This month, it looks like Linnea, Vlad, and Dominique all have a birthday, while Jessica, Clementine, Oral, and Taryn do not. So if we go to Linnea's, we should see birthday bonus, complete with a few colorful emojis. While if we go to Oral's, we'll see that he does not have a birthday bonus this month. If we return to Jed's list, we'll see that Oral's birthday is in December. So if we go to Oral's December commission, we'll see that we didn't forget it on his plan. He still has his own time to party. So how did we make this simple rule come true? If we do a birthday bonus as part of a worksheet, it would show up every month on every rep's plan. What we do instead is create a lookup table that shows us everybody's birthday. Now, if we were to do this as a plan assignment custom field, we would only be able to look up each individual user's date of birth. The best way to do this would probably be to look up this data from a system of record like Workday or Salesforce. But in this case, we are actually using a lookup table. And since we can't use dates on a lookup table, I'm looking it up as a string field that's in our date format. Then we are actually putting this onto our user table. If you actually look at your data, you may notice that you have two user tables. In our case, we've actually hidden one, but you may see a data import user table on yours. This probably only has the name of contractors or Spiff employees or other people that may have helped you set up a Spiff instance and came in through a data connector. They probably do not have any employees that were set up through Salesforce or the other Workato or similar systems of record you may use. Either way, you want to make sure you are using the same table that you are using to pay your employees when you create these extra fields. We then create lookup fields. In our case, the first field that we wanted to add was just a lookup field on birthday date. This starts with a vlookup that looks up the user's name from our user's facts and has a default of blank. It then translates that into a date. If there's an error translating it to a date, just treat that as a null. Now, because we just put our birthday date as relatively recent dates instead of telling anybody how old we are, and because we want to pay this birthday every year, we want to translate these dates to the current year. So to do that, we want to convert to our current year. So for our current year birthday, if our birthday date is not a date, we'll continue to treat it as a null. Otherwise, we will take the date, and instead of the year of that date, we'll just use the year of this period. Take the month of the birthday, take the day of the birthday, and there we have it. the birth date is here. Now we want to know, does that birth date fall into this month? And if it does, then it's a current birthday. And if that date is between the beginning of the period and to the end of the period, we're going to pay what's ever in birthday bonus column. And our birthday bonus column is just looking up from our same user's fact table what's ever in that B-Day bonus column. Once again, our user's fact is the B-Day bonus plus the birth date. And the B-Day bonus can be any number that their manager chooses. And thus we have built our user-based birthday bonus table. And to complete that table, we have a couple of filters. The first filter we have is just as a day, which means that birthday date is not equal to null. Since we said anything that's blank is null, that birthday date not equal to null gives us a has birthday, which just makes a really handy filter so that everything else gets rid of all those blanks. Then we have a current birthday filter, which just says that current birthday bonus is greater than 0. And that just very easily is the same as saying that current birthday date is between this beginning and the end of this period. The next one we have is an isRep. This would be the same as an isRep type filter in any of our other tables. This is just a little bit more direct. The ID is equals to the rep's ID because we are actually on the rep ID table. My team is also a very direct roll-up filter because the team leads team is actually the team leads team because these are users. So my team's birthdays is everybody that is on my team and has a birthday. So we're showing everybody's birthdays for the entire year. And rep's birthday is just if I'm a rep and it's my birthday this month. So those are all the filters we're going to use. So now let's flip over to our plans. And because we're going to share these birthday bonuses across our plans, I just created these in a recruitment folder so that they can be used fairly widely. So for the birthday bonus worksheet, this is where the magic comes in. I am using the user table and that rep birthday filter. So this is either going to have one record if it's the rep's birthday or no records if it's not the rep's birthday. So just like any other data set, if it's blank, it won't show up. If it has records, it will show up. So a set rule in Spiff is anything that is on a data set. And like any other set rule, if it's a blank data set, it doesn't appear. So this is what allows for a disappearing bonus. If it's what we call a cumulative, or if it's on a worksheet, if it's a summed up rule, then that always appears on the sheet. And that's why we can't just put this on a worksheet instead of the data sheet, because then it's no longer a set rule. So this little user's trick is a trick you can use to turn any set rule or any non-set rule into a set rule. So this is a really good trick if you want a disappearing rule, is to put it on the user table and to use this isRep and is the rule 0 or non-zero. So while we're using it for this kind of a fun rule of the birthday, this is a really powerful tool that you can use over and over. So it's a really helpful tool to have in your repertoire. And in fact, one of my favorite uses for this tool is a draw. A draw is probably one of the most requested simple payout rules that is never as simple as it should be. And we will have a whole video on draws. But this rule allows for a very easy disappearing draw. And I will give you a hint. It is related to quotas, but we will do a whole video on it. If you want that video sooner, please let me know in the comments. That is my simple trick, is using this isRep and is it a non-zero value. And that is a great way to make any non-set rule into a set rule and make it disappear if needed. And then with that, as soon as we know somebody whose birthday it is this month, I believe one of our recruiters, Dominique, had a birthday this month, we can see that that appears. And then if we go to the front end and we go to Dominique's, we can see that she has that birthday bonus. But if we go forward, we can see she doesn't have that in other months. So again, we're making that rule disappear. And that current birthday bonus is a payout rule on all of the plans. So again, you can just add plans and have that rule listed in all of the plans. If you no longer want that in any of the plans or in one of the plans, you can just remove it. You can either edit the effective dates from the plan or remove it from the plan. So you can add it to the plan or remove it from the plan right here. I find it easier if you actually know someone whose month it is for the birthday. One of the other reasons I have that team birthday worksheet, where again, if you know that your manager has a listing, and especially my recruiting manager who has more birthdays, you can quickly see who has a birthday. And this is what is called a what if rule, which means that I can put in this bonus paid this month and show that not to add to her totals, but just so that she can see whose birthdays are this month. So as a manager, she can make sure to call and wish them a happy birthday. And also if these birthday bonuses are coming out of one of her personal team budgets or team building budgets, she has that heads up that she makes sure she sets aside that money. So just a good managing up tool. This is also using a user table tool like this with that My Teams filter is a great way to build a team leadership dashboard where instead of using a birthday sum, you can use any other information that you can sum on a per user basis. So again, here I'm using it for something fun, but this is a really useful tool for anything that you need to do. SumIf is going to be your favorite tool there. And again, if you want me to show a more detailed example of that, please leave it in the comments. And if there's anything that I show in passing here that you want me to show more details about, please always feel free to leave it in the comments. So these types of user filters and user-based rules are just one of my favorite tricks to show more information, and I think are really underutilized in Spiff. And then one other thing I do want to show is on the recruiting metrics, I am using some summary rules, which are showing every single month. And I actually have 2 rules on each line, which are the same fields. And you can see they have basically the same information, but they're 2 rules. So you can see this is a what if rule, and this is an actual rule. And the main difference here, if we go into and we look at one of these rules, is that possible annual bonus. So these have effective dates from January to November. And the actual annual bonus has effective dates of only December. So the actual will only show up in the month of December. The possible will show up from January to November. And if we go out to Designer and see what this looks like, what we will see is this possible annual bonus says the following is a hypothetical. And And we can see that there's a couple of lines here. There's the annual placement, the possible bonus, the next tier, and the next tier bonus. And then each month, we will see that same thing, hopefully getting larger over time. And if we forward to November, we will see the same thing. But then if we go to December, instead of that possible annual bonus, we get the actual annual bonus, which just shows the number of placements, but is no longer a what if rule, but is actually paying for the number of placements that she got. And again, if we return to Designer, what we can see here is that current annual placements, I want to use the same rule on all of the plans. So I use this ifs, which is just a compound if statement. So if the plan name is recruiter or recruiting manager, I'm counting on the recruiter in year. If it's account manager or AM manager plan, I'm counting on the AM in year filter. Otherwise, I'm just putting 0. And my next year placement, I'm going to use the same num as in current annual placements, but instead of looking at that individual or manager row, I'm looking at the breaks column. So if we look at our placement tiers, we can see that there's a team column, an individual column, and a breaks column. So this goes from 20 to 50, and that break is 50. So for the next tier, I'm just returning this breaks column, and you can see that that's the same as the upper bound, except for the last one here, which says max. So that's all I'm doing to get that next tier number. Current bonus is just using either that current annual placement and either the individual or the team column. The next tier is using that next tier line and either the individual or the team column. And then the actual payouts is again using the same thing as the current bonus. So again, a really easy way to set up that summary rule with some additional information helps provide that carrot to get over the finishing line. So hopefully this has been a nice quick way of showing you some useful features of users and summary calculations to make your rep statements have a little bit more information and to make the disappearing summary calculation a reality. Hope that helps, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. If you need more help, contact us at info@GoCarya or check our page at gocarya.com/spiff or reach out to me at linkedin.mlayton or mlayton@mlayton.com, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Please do all the YouTube things, like and subscribe, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thank you.